All right, we should be live. Just giving it a minute here so I can see if it updates on my other laptop where I'm watching the stream here. All right, looks like it's all up and running. Let me just pull up my agenda here so I've got that. All right, so it is currently 6:30. Going to call the meeting to order. ATC Board meeting Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Have you all had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
All right, in that case, I will move to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, seconded. So all in favor, I say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. All right, seeing none, motion passes. Did you all get a chance to review the minutes from last month's meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we've all seen that, I will move to approve the minutes. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. All right, motion carried. Minutes are approved. Moving on to recap of off-cycle board actions. There was the resignation of Tristan Anderson, the previous president of the board. I was appointed interim president. There was no special election for that, given the closeness to the general election. We elected, basically, it would be special appointment would just run into the general election, so there was no need for a special appointment election. We updated our corporate address. We realized that the Secretary of State does require us to have a physical address for our corporate office, so to speak. A PO box was not sufficient. So we're going to be updating that to my personal home address for the time being. We can always amend that later, but for now, we need someone to be able to receive official communications from the Secretary of State. All right, moving on from that to the open session reserved for the first 30 minutes. We're also going to be using this as a candidates forum. To those who are running for the election, as you all know, the board or the ballots do go live at 8 o'clock tonight. Will remain open for 24 hours. The candidates currently on the ballot are myself for president, and then Allie and Lori in here are running for members at large. So if anyone, be it ourselves or those watching live, have questions for any of the candidates, you may feel free to ask at this point in time. Given the nature of this open session, I will probably keep it open a bit longer than we usually do for these things. So yeah, if any questions are had, it is open platform. Well, I guess I'll start. So Lori, obviously you're a new face here to the board, running for member at large. What, say, qualifications or experiences do you have that would make you a valuable candidate for this board?
Thank you. So again, I apologize for not having my camera on. I jumped on and apparently it just does not want to recognize that it is in fact on board. I think all of you know me well enough to at least know what I look like anyway. So,
We don't remember. It's been so long.
no, only see me once a month. Right, I think everybody here knows me. I don't know who all might be. Yeah, I don't know who all might be on live. I'm Lori in person. I'm interested in becoming a member at large on the ATC board. I think that I would be a good candidate because I have experience as a legal professional. Not that I would necessarily be bringing that experience to bear for the board. Depending on the circumstances, there's a lot of professional roles that would need to be discussed if that ever came up. But that experience does give me the ability to work with board members to ensure that we're taking legally appropriate actions to make sure that we're kind of have any rules and laws that apply in our periphery, any liability issues, things like that. So it's just another perspective on that. Other than that, I have been a staff member for Anime Detour in the past. I started in the security safety department, did that for 5 years, and spent 1 year on hotel as well. I haven't been at the new hotel location in downtown Minneapolis as staff, Once I started law school, I kind of had to pull back on some of that stuff just because of my schedule. But I wanted to be here, so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to help contribute to that sort of anime scene in the Twin Cities on something that works a little bit better for my schedule. So if elected, I look forward to serving.
Thank you. All right, so there was one comment in chat here that was not related to the candidate form. It's just, I guess we're having audio issues. I guess the rest of you are coming through very staticky. I've turned up the gain to hopefully fix that, but I don't know what would be causing static. Obviously, I haven't streamed to this rig before because it was kind of, well, almost literally dropped in my lap here, so
Are you using OBS?
yes, I am.
There should be a way to set up a like a filter that would decrease the static noise. I mostly use Streamlabs, but I know that's based off of OBS, so it should be like under the settings in the microphone area.
If I do see filters here, I'm seeing 3-band equalizer, compressor, expander, gain, invert polarity, limiter, noise gate, noise suppression, upward compressor, and VS2 at 2x plugged in.
I would try the one labeled noise suppression.
All right, let's try that. All right, fortunately, subtitles are working, so we do have that working for us. All right, but the filter's on. Hopefully that does work. I guess we will see. So there's not much as far as comments yet or questions in chat, but like I said, given the nature of this, I will keep it open for the time being, for a little longer.
I just was wondering, this is, like I said, something about as well, the minutes for last month and this month. We need to vote on the minutes every month as well as vote on whether I should post them to the website each month.
Generally speaking, as far as the minutes go, it is standard protocol under, say, Robert's rules to approve the minutes. I don't have any issue with us posting them sooner than that, because we can always go back and amend them, and we can, when we post them, we can say these are, pending approval at the next meeting. And like I said, we can always go back and amend them and change that after they're approved, or if we do amend them, we can, I'll do, post as amended, so.
Okay, that sounds good. Then I'll just post last month's meeting and this month's after I'm done, but I can just edit it in the website. Then just, I guess I was wondering for president, is there any like overall like mission or vision you have for Anime Twin Cities that's different than in the past?
So what I'd like to see us do, if elected president, is kind of go back to where we came from. We used to be very big on the social outreach, the other events we've held, big onto the charity side of thing. That was a big mission we had. And, during COVID, that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So I'd like to basically spin back up the things that we have done historically and make this board and ATC, be more than what it's kind of become, which is just effectively the rubber stamp for the budget for Detour. There's very important things that this board can accomplish at the ATC level, and I'd really like to make us, an entity that does stand apart and have its own mission, its own goals, its own programs, its own, accomplishments, other than just kind of like being the second chair to Anime Detour. Obviously, that's our biggest driving factor, but I think we do have the opportunity to just get back to roots and be so much more and be something that we used to be. So I'd like to basically bring us back there and then just make it better than we have before. I've got experience running boards, with budgets of this size before. I've been doing that since I was, 18 in college. I ran a lot, been a parliamentarian. I know how to run meetings quite efficiently, and I'm looking forward to, doing the job if elected, because I think I'll be adequate at it. If not good, I'll at least say adequate.
I was just going to say, since I had the opportunity to speak, I think it's only fair that we make sure that the other candidate in the room also has the opportunity to say anything they want to say about their qualifications. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but if you do have something you'd like to share, I want to make sure you get that opportunity as well.
That's you, Allie. Take the floor.
Well, first I gotta find that unmute button. Hi, I'm Alan. I have been on the board for 2 years now, I guess, a 2-year term, as well as being detour staff for I think 11 years, something like that. I've been attending detour since the very beginning. I'm running again because I would like to hope that I've done a good enough job to earn your vote of confidence to return to the board again this for a second term. I'm hoping that I've done a good job trying to represent what's best for the organization, what needs to be done. Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm happy to keep serving everyone if they're happy to let me keep serving them.
All right. So looking at the chat here and the participants, participation is light. So I think I am just going to keep us trucking along in the agenda here so we can get things done. Kevin out there in chat, if you have any questions at any point in time, feel free to drop them in. We'll come back and address them if you have anything you want for us. Otherwise, I just don't see the need to just sit here and wait with effectively, not a large audience here to, grill us on questions. So moving on, plan discussion for any visiting parties, there is none. So moving on past that, discussion about the general election. As stated, that will be going live for 24 hours at 8 o'clock tonight. I've got that all basically set up. Voters list is put in. Got that all ready to go. I basically just need to hit send on the email to send everything out to the voters. The amount of voters we have on this election are 25. So that will go out here around 8 o'clock. It may take, well, the website advises 15 to 35 minutes for it to push out the email campaign to people. So you might not get it till a little closer to 9, but it will go out live. It means open till 8 o'clock tomorrow. And then moving on to charitable giving requests, we do have a couple on our plate. I believe you all have seen the emails. If not, I will recap them. The St. Paul Public Library has requested $2,500. They want to put on an event called ToshoCon. It would be their 7th event. They have a pretty decent attendance. I believe they had I think their email said 300 and something people last year.
350, I think.
Yep. And then it's basically a free event for people. It's a 1-day thing. They're looking to put it on August this year. Their total budget proposal would be $5,500. They're asking us for $2,500. Looking at the financials, that is something we can definitely accommodate in our budget should we wish to do that. So I will open that up for discussion. If anyone has any questions, I'll do my best to answer that. I know we have historically worked with them in the past, and we are currently one of their biggest donors for teenage programming. So
Combination of the library systems, two of the primary ones that present the manga library at Detour. So we have a working relationship with them. Not that it's a exchange in that regard, just that they also do some things at con as well. I know that we promote that pre-COVID on social media. So what we end up doing in terms of any charitable giving, I'd like to help use our Detour social medias again to help promote that.
So as far as the amount of the request, what I think would be a good idea, and I was talking with Buttons about this as well, actually, it was her idea to begin with. is I think we should approve $2,500, and then should they raise an additional matching 2,500, so bringing them up to 5,000 out of their 5,500 goal, we'll kick in the last 500. So it would be a total of $3,000 of charitable giving on our part. And like I said, we'll just kind of kick them the goal once they raise matching funds, but giving them the initial 2,500 lets them start spinning things up, get things going, start their promotional push, their marketing and all that, and effectively they're not just waiting for other money before they can even get started. I think it's a great program. It's a great idea. So that's kind of where I'm at on this one. I'm very much in support of this funding request.
Second.
All right, I guess we'll make that a formal motion then. What do you think, Kristen?
I was just gonna say, I think just supporting like local small organizations like that is exactly what we want to be doing.
It's not small. It's St. Paul.
All right, so just to make this official, I will move that we give them the 2,500 as requested. Should they raise additional 2,500, we will then kick an additional 500 for a total cap on the funding given to $3,000. Is there a second? All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, all those opposed? All right, with that, the motion does carry to allocate approve the charitable funding request of $2,500 with the additional 500 option on the table for St. Paul Public Libraries. Moving on to our other charitable giving request, the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Committee. They put on the Cherry Blossom Festival every year. I know we did that last year as well. We also provided the table. They've requested ongoing financial support from us as well. They didn't put a dollar amount on it. However, in the past, we have given like $1,000. I think that would also be a good idea. We do have an ongoing relationship. Again, it's good to maintain those relationships. So I would support this, but I'll open up the floor for discussion.
I think the only thing we would run into an issue with is running the table again, because that is the same day as a detour planning meeting.
Okay. I know their events usually earlier in the morning, so
Yeah.
we could send some type of smaller delegation. If maybe not running a table, we could at least send a delegation just to show our support as a financial donor. So I would have to look back on their request, see if a table support was requested, but that's something I'd be comfortable negotiating with them later, independent of the rest of the meeting. I don't think it would require a special meeting or anything. So as far as the funding request, how do you feel about that?
I think it's a great event. So as one of the ones who showed up for the Cherry Blossom Festival, I think it's very in line with our mission and what we want to do. So I would fully support continuing funding them for that. Yeah, pretty much exactly what Buttons just said. It fits perfectly in with our mission. It's a really nice little event. I got to be another one of the people there last year too, and really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great turnout for it. Yeah, it's definitely something that works well for us for a charitable donation.
All right, so if there's no further discussion. Is someone is willing to put forward a motion about this?
I'm willing to motion continuing to give them the $1,000 that we've previously given for the event.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, moved in second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of allocating $1,000 for the charitable funding request to the St. Paul Nagasaki Sister City Coalition, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Seeing none, motion does carry, so we will go ahead and get that taken care of. Moving on, one thing I did forget, but I will cover right at this time, is the financials. Let me just get those pulled up here real quick. So in the financials, the checking account has $298,468.13. Education fund $3,094.81, and the savings account $14,490.58. And then in that same vein, obviously, we do have money for these charitable givings because we did budget originally, as some of you may recall, for a office space that we no longer have, so that pool of money can very easily be reallocated to charitable giving at this point. All right, so moving on from that, we will go to coordinator updates. Troy, the floor.
Early bird registration. I think that's something we probably have looked at doing since we weren't able to do Sunday registration at con. And it's our first registration round with Eventme. So we're seeing some good turnout with that. A lot of activity on the executive end of things with opening up the cycle. Looking at some restructuring kind of the marketing end of things with that department and how we'll be handling sponsorships, like a sponsorship deck, and those sorts of things, just to be working out exactly what that will look like. Be looking at some potential space reallocations with some of the empty spaces that we have and how we can repurpose those or shift things for various reasons, and working with the department heads on those. Our executive post-mortem, we'll be using the data that we have from the staff as well as data that IT and admin will have for us from the online external survey, so that we can go over those and prepare information so that vice chairs can go over that with their individual departments, and have a discussion with them about how they felt the last cycle went and looking forward for the upcoming cycle. And then one of the other big things that we'll be looking at is where we're at in terms of hotels, in terms of what we have for room allocation on various nights, either with the Hyatt or with our partner hotels, and what we would think we might need to make adjustments there, as well as looking at potential additional space at the Millennium. So we're just going to be getting into that conversation later this evening. So we're just kind of entering into a number of different larger discussions here at the beginning of the cycle, hitting the ground running on those and see where those things take us, and I'm starting to get into the middle of those things and then finalizing those things. And probably the next big convention-wide thing for department heads, of course, will be budgets that we'll be asking them for in September, in preparation for me to deliver to the board in October, but we'll of course be working with our department heads up until September of that. And I think unless there's any specific questions.
I do believe you did formally create a new department since our last meeting, right?
Yes, we officially essentially doing all of the duties of the department head in terms of being an ambassador department head and coordinating all of our external ambassador road trips and all of the things that go with that in terms of ad swaps and room swaps, as well as handling it when they come to visit us and getting their ads and rooms at Detour. I wanted to make sure and make that an official department this cycle, which we did. And so instead of just having her do that in strictly deeds, she's hopefully she's not her own department. She is the department head. It is now an official department. And so congratulations to Buttons on that. And thank her for being patient as it took the remainder of last cycle to get to this cycle and make that an official department. So that we did. And a few other vacancies that we'll be looking to fill expeditiously here, doing some interviews, things like that.
I want to mention the technology restructuring that
Oh, yeah.
decided.
Yeah. Made a proposal to us, and we went over it with them, ways of structuring our tech department and kind of how it works with our IT department. And we looked over that and thought it was a great idea, and we've accepted that. And Kristen and Ari had worked on the position descriptions for that. And so tech will continue to have what we think of as their normal department head, and then they will have in charge of sort of different particular areas of tech, and instead of sort of generalized, and then they will work very closely with IT, and a lot of the IT pieces will be handled specifically by IT, so they will be working very closely together. And as soon as we have all of that very finalized, we'll be able to deliver that out to all of the staff so they can see how all of those pieces work together. We did. Yeah, you go ahead.
You know,
Yes.
Ari and I have been working on it. So the official title of the new title will be Technology Services Department Head. And then and that will have, there will be an IT line of that, which is a subhead. There'll be a subhead that's going to handle streaming and like streaming services and professional. Then there is a regular tech lane, which is also a subhead. And then also under that umbrella is the dance coordinator, which is Jason. Ideally, all of the roles are going to be filled by people that we already have. We just basically are looking to fill the main department head role, and then the rest of the organization will happen from there. So it's all stuff that makes sense, but the main purpose of the technology services person is to basically be the cat herder and the contract handler, because that has been a huge issue in the past. So that's all.
Right.
So am I to then understand that the main goal of this is to basically try and break things down to more bite-sized pieces? There's not one department just trying to handle everything under the sun?
Exactly. More people being held accountable. Somebody being in charge of the paperwork so that we don't have the same issues that happened last year. And then making sure that we have tasks that are assigned to specific people, so when something goes wrong, we can say, hey, this is the person who's responsible for this. How are we going to fix this? Basically making sure that all of the roles are clear, and I think that's everyone's goal at the chair level, is reassessing everyone's job descriptions and making sure that those definitions match. So everyone at the con level should expect to be contacted along those lines, because it's important. People need to know what their job is.
Fantastic. Are there any more questions for Troy, or Troy, do you have anything else for us?
That was it. Like I said, a lot of one other thing that we're looking into, and Kristen and Allie and Victoria is very interested precedent, we are looking at, and it could fold into potential space that we're looking at adding at the Millennium, is looking at how we might be able to present a charity bowl. So adding that to Anime Detour programming. So yeah, that's one of the, so it's not all administrative and those sorts of things. So looking at that as an initiative, but outside of that, just trying to put all the pieces together in the formative stages right now, and then just trying to continue to build on those as we move into the cycle.
All
That's
right.
all.
Thank you, Troy. Moving on, communications. Our communications coordinator is not here, so I will move on from that to finance. I did briefly go over the financials. However, one quick point of business on this front. As we discussed, Kim does have a trainee that she's looking at getting trained in. She wants to add said training to the account just so the person can get spun up, get up and running. So I do believe that might require our action. So I would just suggest we just approve Kim to add people she deems necessary to be added to the account as more of a blanket statement. Basically, let our treasurer decide who she needs to do what and let her run with it. As a general policy, I think that's great. I mean, obviously, we trust our treasurer with our finances. So if they trust someone and want them to do some work, I think that's fine. We'll open it for discussion about that.
I mean, I think Kim has been doing this long enough that she knows what is needed and what she's doing, so I don't have any issues. I mean, if this is what she feels is the best way to train somebody, then I have full faith in Kim.
All right, in that case, I'll go ahead and move to allow the treasurer to add people to the account she deems necessary.
I will second that.
All right, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. And with that, we have no further pending business. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up tonight for our discussion? All right, seeing nothing, that brings us to the end of the agenda. So chair is seeking a motion to adjourn.
She'll second.
All right, so moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m. Thank you all very much for coming. Any questions, comments, concerns, obviously, please email the board. We can address them at our next meeting or sooner, depending on the urgency. Other than that, I will let you all know about the results of the election here because it will be going live in approximately 1 hour. Thank you all, and I will see you all later. Have a good night.